Well, are you, perhaps like me, interested in rap music where the beats do most of the heavy lifting with some questionable vocal performances and some interesting mixing choices over all the songs? Well, then the OPIUM label might be right up your alley, considering the bisexual vampire lord still has not dropped his very anticipated album. We are making do with one of his subordinates. Ken Carson's most recent release, A Great Chaos, inspired this piece, especially the cover artwork. I wanted to create some cool ass jewelry, and that's basically it. So join me as we create this cool ass piece. We start off in DAZ like usual. We get a basic model in there, we do some expressions, some posing. Yeah, the mouth might be sticking out of the skin, but that doesn't matter, we can just always remove that in cinema. So we just do some tweaking, add some vampire teeth to fit the aesthetic, and then it's basically off to the races. We're pretty much done in DAZ, and then into cinema. We do all the basic stuff like always. We make sure that we collect the materials, we merge them, and then we adjust them. We make octane skin shaders, nothing crazy. It's always the same work that goes into these pieces. We change up the hairstyle, but I will not end up using any kind of hair anyways, so you can disregard that step. We set the mood, we turn the lights off, we add a new octane light, tweak the skin shader so it's not as subsurface scattery. We add some more lights to see where we are going with this. We just want some decent silhouetting going on, nothing too crazy. We want to make sure that the teeth are highlighted, and then it's right into Illustrator. A shape I've drawn, we just export that shape, export another shape that we've drawn in Photoshop, then into Illustrator, then into Cinema. We extrude those, as always. We make sure that it's somewhat nice to look at, and then we get the basic shape going. After we have done that, we are then heading straight into ZBRUSH after we remeshed it in Cinema 4D, just to remesh it again in ZBRUSH to get a cleaner topology, so I can then scatter diamonds using the cloner tool. As you will see in a moment, we export that as a high poly and a lower poly version, and then basically just bring it back into Cinema again so we can do some magic using the volume builder and the scatter tool. I got my diamonds. The scattering is not perfect considering the topology is not perfectly laid out for this type of work, as I knew there won't be any detail work required, so we are just going with what we have. We then make sure that we subtract the diamonds from the cross piece using the volume builder so we can have like some little inlets, and then apply the diamonds with the actual cloner on top of it so they can actually lay inside the shape. Which doesn't even matter. I could have skipped that step, I think, because the output would look just the same. We then place the cross, and I'm about to get rid of that black and white finish in a second. There we go. We place the cross, and then we get some lighting in there to get the general mood rolling. We do some more tweaking to the materials because I've messed up some of the channels. Add a specular material to the diamonds, cranking up the dispersion, and with an index of 2 point something to get the diamond refraction going on. I then create a tennis chain piece we can then use as a chain link across her neck. So it's just a base, it's the diamond, and then it's a cube and another cube with a cube on top, and then just that 4 times. To get like this nice little tennis chain holder, which is not really perfect, but as always it gets the job done, and considering we're not doing any detail work, that will suffice perfectly. So then using the cloner, we make a little choker that sits on very tight and very snug. Add a little random modifier to this so we get a little bit of variety, and yeah, get another shape that we've extruded in Cinema from Illustrator into ZBRUSH, remesh that so we can then plug that into Cinema 4D as well. Here I'm just messing around, but we end up going with a simple shape as we did with the cross. But don't you worry about it, it's not any crazy detail work involved. We remeshed it so we can have low topology to then scatter the diamonds using the cloner tool again. And we bring that in. We want to make sure that we have 2 of these laying right next to each other. and I realized we need to do the teeth justice as well. So remesh them and then just clone some diamonds onto there as well. And using render instance in cases like these could be very helpful. Otherwise your scene would be chugging along very strongly. And now we are just adjusting the lighting to make sure that it's a bit evened out across the chains, the jewelry and the teeth. And here I am going back to the side chain piece because I realized all the diamonds on there were a bit too small, so I'm just placing some random ass diamonds on the pendant as I see fit. Nothing too crazy, just to make sure that there's a bit more of an effect going on when lighting that piece of the chain. Using the symmetry tool, I can just mirror the left and the right side, as you can see, without any issues, and we bring that back in. We use the spline tool to then draw a chain link connecting that pendant to the neck, which I will be doing for all of the pieces. And I realized I shouldn't draw two separate splines. Instead, I should be drawing an actual circle and then make sure that that connects to the piece, because I might want to rotate the render to the left and to the right. So if it's two disconnected links just fizzling out in the back, that's a no-go. So I'm then using the circle spline to make an actual chain. It's not perfect, I just wanted to make sure that they are laying on top of each other, so we get like a little bit of an interesting formation going on with the Cuban links, with the tennis chain links just lying on top of each other, modifying the base spline to make sure that we get a nice result. And as you can already tell, these are not connected to the jewelry pieces in actuality, but that is fine. We are doing less work to get more results, and I think that is just fine because we are out here doing the work that is needed and not doing the work that should be there, which on a case-by-case basis, as you can tell, is always all right. We are then adding some more shapes that we have created by drawing, importing, remeshing, and then importing again, because I wanted some small pendants to hang off the chains, or at least to hang off one of the tennis chains from the neck chokers. So we are scattering the diamonds with a cloner on each of these pendants, as you can see. Fairly straightforward. We've been doing the same for all the pieces. And as a quick reminder, I have this scene, the complete project file, and the full recorded almost 4.5 hour process available on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/carlyfetz. So if you're interested in that, maybe check that out. There's lots of more stuff ranging from more process videos and tutorials from back in the day for you to enjoy. As always, if you made it this far watching the video, that's more than enough. I am thanking you deeply. I really do appreciate it, and I'm glad you are here with me. So as we finish this piece, there's not that much more to be done. We are placing the pendants on the choker, and then we are going to continue doing so for a total of 6 pieces, I believe, and then it's on to more lighting. So the scene is filled with a lot of separate octane lights. There's no other light source, there's no HDRI used in the final output of this. So I then just make sure that the lights are dialed in. It's nothing complicated, it's just separate light sources with different angles and different powers across all the pendants, making sure by using the octane object tag that all the lights I'm using to light the jewelry is not affecting the skin, because we want them to stand out and the skin to be lit on its own in a silhouette kind of way, because that is more than enough. And after placing all the lights, we render them, and I then choose to render very low sample versions of this because I wanted to get the post-processing pass that isn't really finished rendering. So we get like the slow sample count, including all that color that then gets in there. We can import that into Photoshop. We import the low quality post-processing bloom, get rid of some of the green color, and then make sure to clean up the scene. And then it's basically off to After Effects, adding a signal plugin, just slap it on there to get like this VHS-y effect, and we're done. So this is the piece that you are seeing right here. I thank you for watching. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. If you've made it this far, as I mentioned before, I do truly appreciate it, and I hope you could get something out of this video. Thank you so much for joining, and see you next time.